If you were in Chicago in the 40s, this sound meant the Watermelon Man was passing by. But for Herbie Hancock, it sparked the creation of one of jazz history's most iconic pieces. Let's see how that happened. Hey there, if you're new here, I'm Davide, and this channel is about music, creativity, and learning from the greatest artists in history to improve our lives and unlock our creative potential. For those of you who don't know, Herbie Hancock is a legendary pianist and composer, celebrated over a 6-decade career for his innovations in jazz, funk, fusion, and electronic music. But at the age of 22, he was just starting out, so he ventured to New York to join its dynamic jazz scene and develop his career. After a year, his friend Donald Byrd suggested that it was time to record his first album, so he sat down to work. For his first original composition, he looked for inspiration from his own personal experiences as an African American. But growing up in Chicago, he couldn't authentically capture the harsh realities of the South, such as jails, cotton fields, or forced labor. Instead, his memories of the Watermelon Man, who was a familiar figure in his Chicago neighborhood, resurfaced. Herbie recalled the rhythmic clacking of a watermelon seller's wagon going through the cobblestone streets of Chicago. He heard that sound so many times that it wasn't hard for him to translate it into the now iconic bluesy piano riff. Next, he needed a melody. He remembered the Watermelon Man's distinctive call. Watermelon. But he realized it didn't quite fit the rhythm he was working on. Something else was needed. Then a spark of inspiration struck. Instead of focusing on the Watermelon Man himself, he remembered the calls of the people on the streets wanting to buy that watermelon. Hey, Watermelon Man. And the rest, as they say, is history. Released in 1962, Watermelon Man reached number 84 on the top 100 Billboard. Towards the end of the same year, the Cuban percussionist Mongo Santamaria, while he was performing with Herbie at a restaurant in the Bronx, he decided to add his congas with a rhythm called Guajira. It was an instant success. All the clients stood up and started dancing. The Latin version of Watermelon Man reached number 11 on Billboard in 1963 and paid Hancock's bills for several years. Hancock even treated himself to an AC Shelby Cobra sports car. Little did he know it was the 6th model ever produced. Today, its value far exceeds its original price tag of $5,000. He still owns it today. The success of Santamaria's Watermelon Man triggered a wave of diverse cover versions, ranging from a jazz cover by Quincy Jones in 1963 to a ska version from the Jamaican group Byron Lee and the Dragonaires in 1964. There were even vocal renditions, for example by jazz singer Jon Hendricks in 1963, who wrote lyrics for the tune, and the British band Manfred Mann in 1965. And it didn't stop there. Over the years, Watermelon Man has continuously evolved. In 1973, to celebrate its 10-year anniversary, Hancock revisited Watermelon Man on his album Headhunters, giving the song a radical jazz funk makeover that made it unrecognizable from the original. That later version was sampled by many artists like LL Cool J in 1989, Madonna in 1994, and George Michael in 1996. So, what can we learn from this story? We've seen how Watermelon Man has transcended generations, changing and transforming itself but always remaining relevant from 1962 to today. If you think about it, it all started by turning something ordinary at the time, like the everyday sounds of the Watermelon Man, into something extraordinary that made the history of jazz and beyond. It reminds us that, if we pay attention, inspiration can truly come from anywhere. Sometimes, even the simplest things, with the right sensitivity, can inspire a timeless masterpiece. And who knows, even lead you to buy an expensive sports car. But what happened to Herbie Hancock after this great success? His debut album grabbed the attention of one of the most influential figures in the history of jazz, Miles Davis. Let's see what happened when they met and what we can learn from it in our next video. I'll see you there.